Oh, thanks for coming. I'm glad you made it. Did you have any trouble getting here or finding us? Oh, you got here okay? Oh, great. Okay, here, let me sit down and do some introductions and we'll talk a little bit about where you're at and why you're here. So, the first thing I would like to do is introduce myself. So, my name's Mike, my last name's Queso. I'm a social worker, so I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a probation officer, I'm a clinical social worker. And this is the psychiatric clinic for Common Pleas Court. Now, you're not here for any kind of therapy or counseling or medicine. You're not here because people think you have a mental health problem. I know the piece of paper you got said psychiatric clinic. But you're here for a special kind of drug and alcohol evaluation. The court's considering you for a pretty good diversion program that is called intervention in lieu of conviction. And what I understand that to mean is this, that the judges and the people who write the laws in the state of Ohio understand that in many cases people get in trouble for drug crimes. They themselves have substance use problems. It's not a serious charge. It's not a charge of violence. And the judges and the law writers understand that in many of these cases it makes more sense to try to help these people than to punish them. Further, I think that the judges understand that there are a lot of good people out there whose lives have gotten off track because of drug and alcohol use. So that being said, the court is considering you for this diversion program. So the way that it works is you and I are going to sit here for about the next hour or so. I'm going to ask you questions like where you were born and what kind of schools you've gone to, what kind of jobs you had. But at the end of the interview, I'm going to ask you about drug and alcohol use, and then I'm going to ask you how you got into this mess. The reason that I'm doing this is because there's some information that the judge wants to look at to see if you're eligible for this program. And looking at your name and the charges on a piece of paper don't tell us whether you're a good candidate for this. And quite frankly, the judge is too busy to sit down and talk to you for an hour or so. So that's where I come in. So we'll prepare a report for the court for them to take a look at. There are three things that the judge would like me to put into this report, and this is the way that you get into this diversion program, and I'm going to tell you what they are so you kind of know what I'm fishing for. I tell everybody this. So number one, do you have some kind of substance use problem? Number two, did that have anything to do with the trouble that you're in? Number three, could you use some help or some treatment? Will that help you to stay out of trouble in the future? If we can say yes to those things, then that gives you a fighting chance up in the courtroom to be given intervention in lieu of conviction. Now, the reason you want intervention in lieu of conviction is as follows. So number one, it'll help to hook you up with treatment most likely. And when people get clean and sober, we know from research and just practical experience that often their lives improve, their families are happy, their bosses are happy, they're happy, and things go on and are better for them. But also, if you are successful and you follow through with what the court asks you to do, at the end of a period of time that the court will identify, but if you do the stuff that they ask you to do, then they'll take these charges off your record. So that's no felony, that's no misdemeanor, that's no nothing, and that's a really good outcome. I'd also like you to know that we're easy here. We want to see people get help. This will be a piece of cake to take care of this. We'll do the interview. I'll take care of the report. Our staff will type that for you, send it upstairs. The judge will look at it. The prosecutor will look at it, and hopefully they'll give you a shot at this. We're easy here because we want to see people get help. So this will be something easy for us to take care of. Now, there's something else that I want to make sure that I tell you about. I want to make sure you know that what you say here in this office is not private or confidential. So that means the information you share with me is going to go into my report. My report's going to go upstairs to the court. I'd also like you to know that if you said that you were going to hurt yourself or other people, if you knew about child abuse, abuse of the elderly, the commission of any kind of serious crimes, I got to tell someone because I don't want you to get hurt or harmed or injured. I don't want anything bad to happen. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything you'd like me to go over or explain a little bit better, or you'd like me to just review? Everything's good? Great. And Margaret, our tape's still running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd like to show you that you have some rights as a client here. And I'm going to go over these with you. I'm going to give you the quick version of it, but I'm going to offer you a copy of this to take with you. So here's what this says. I want to make sure you know that, as I said, what you say here is not private or confidential, that the report's going to be sent to the judge. It could be reviewed in open court, and it is the property of the court. I'd also like you to know that sometimes we have law or medical students sitting in on these interviews, but obviously there's no one here today. This next paragraph says that even though I'm a mental health guy, I'm a social worker, you're not here for therapy or counseling. This paragraph says that we are associated with the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services in Columbus. They give us some of our funding, and because of that, you have the following rights: to be treated with dignity and respect, to have this evaluation in a private place. If we were audio videotaping it, I would have to tell you. We're not. We have to have this in a place where you're comfortable. Got to tell you why we're doing the evaluation. You could refuse it, you could stop it, you could speak with an attorney if you had any questions. We do not have you handcuffed or restrained. We are not allowed to discriminate against you. Got to tell you what your rights are. You can use these rights without any kind of payback or reprisal. If you don't like how you are treated here, you can file a complaint or grievance against us. We can give you instructions on how to do that, and your complaint, of course, will be taken seriously. You can file the complaint with me. I'm the client's rights officer. You can speak with my boss, who is Dr. Dooley. And again, the last line says, your signature below indicates that you understand your rights in this process. You're not giving anything up. It just means that I reviewed these with you. So if you would please, if you could sign here. And again, any further questions before we get started? Thank you. Would you like a copy of this? Thank you. We're done.